So a lot of people, like I tell them, hey, I did this and that with my neck. And they're like, well, I can't do that, because I had stem cells or I wasn't as bad as them or I have different genetics. Like I'm a man, I'm younger. I've heard all kinds of excuses where like people can't exercise their neck. And I think the main thing is like people don't know how to exercise just because we're all a bunch of lazy people when it comes to physical exercise, but we also are like kind of illiterate when it comes to exercise. Like we don't know how, right? So like if I told someone, hey, go lift some weights at the gym, they like, what do I do? Like what's the form I should use? How often should I do it? How many days a week? How many reps? How many sets? How much is too much? How much is too little? Like people, and it just gets overwhelming. And people are like, if I do anything that is outside the purview of my doctor or physical therapist, like I'm gonna get hurt or whatever. And like, so you just need to identify your starting point, because if you can start safely, then you just do that plus a little more each time, and you're good. You don't have to worry about it. So the way you figure out how to start safely when you have craniocervical instability, it's like you have neurological issues, you have weakness, and so and the way you grow tissue is by moving weight. Like if you're pushing on your head like this, you're never really going to make any progress, because um, the I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's just so much easier to make progress with weight, even lightweight, because when you're pushing on your head, it's not a regular amount of force. So if you're like, okay, I was pushing on my head for however many reps, a couple of days ago, and I want to start doing the exercise again today. How hard did you push last time? Because pushing a little harder, with your arm, you could be applying, 5 more pounds of pressure without even noticing it. So, and that's a big deal when you're starting off light. So, weights are the way to go. So, you need like a head harness neck with the chain, and you put the weights on the chain, and an iron neck with a pulley. So, you attach weights to the end of the pulley. And that way, it's a set amount every time, because you're dealing with lightweight. If you're dealing with a band, or you're dealing with your hands, or bands you wrap around your head, like the elastic bands, and then there's a band on the iron neck that comes with it. So they're irregular, and I guess sort of dangerous if you're weak. But you need weights, because 1 pound's always 1 pound. 2.5 pounds is always 2.5 pounds. It's never changes. So you just say, okay, I'm going to use a 1 pound weight on the head harness with the chain, right? And you're like, okay, so I put the head harness on, 1 pound weight on the chain. I go down like this, and you go down, and you do that like 5 reps. And your neurological symptoms get worse. You don't feel good. You might feel a little nauseous or dizzy or whatever. But some moderate increase in your neurological symptoms for like probably within the next hour. And then and you'll feel a little weak for the rest of the day. And then the next day, you'll still feel a little off, like moving your head around, like walking around, doing things, you still feel a little worse than normal. And then, so that's the day after you exercise. And then if the next day you're fine, you're just like, okay, I'm back to base. Okay, well then you're safe. You can do that. So that means you found your safe starting point. You can now, instead of do 5 reps the next time, so you wait 2 days. So on the third day, you can do 2 more reps. So now you're doing 7, and then you know the next time you do 9 and 11 and then 13, and eventually you get up to 20ish, like 19, 20. I guess I normally start an even number, so you end on 20 if you're increasing by 2 every time. So 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Um, so you do it, rest 2 days, and then do it again on the third day. Increase 2 reps, and then once you get up to 20, and you go back down to say 10 reps. The first time you could just start with 5 because you're really weak, but then you go back down to 10 reps, increase the weight. So like 2 to 2.5 pounds. Do 10 reps, work your way up to 20 with the rest days. So 2 days off and then back again. increasing by 2 each time, and then uh, go back up to 20, and then you're at 2.5 pounds, and now go up to 5 pounds, and start doing 3 sets of 10. And with the 3 sets of 10, you can do like an hour rest. You could have 2 hours rest in between. That's fine. And if you think like, that's a weird tactic to use. I mean, professional bodybuilders do it. Some of them, some don't because they got day jobs. They can't do that. Like Ronnie Coleman didn't do it, and he was one of the biggest guys ever. He just worked out an hour straight, but he also took a hell of a lot of steroids. But if you rest, the amount of total work in the day means the greater that is, the more tissue you grow. So it doesn't matter the rest periods. That's more like performance if you're talking about like doing a sport or something where you have to do interval and then like 60 seconds rest, and then back a sprint again, and then 60, because you're competing against other people. But if you're just trying to simply grow tissue, you can rest for a couple hours and then do another set. So I usually rest an hour. That's what I do between my neck sets. Rest of my body I don't, but my neck I rest an hour because I want to do, because I do 6 sets now, and I want my neck to have the maximum, a good amount of rest, so that next time you're doing it, you're able to do it with, get the most out of the exercise. Whereas you're not, like, if you're still tired, you're just like, your muscles are too tired to do the work. So you actually build less muscle. You build less soft tissue as well. So if you have more weighting in between reps, it's safer and you grow more tissue. So we want to be safer. So that's generally like how you get started, is like that. You could start with 1 pound, you could start with 2.5 pounds, and just do 1 set. And then the next time you bump the weight up, then you could go to 3 sets of 10, and then go up to 20. And then every time you get to 20, you go back down to 3 sets of 10, and you keep increasing the weight. So usually I do 2.5 pound intervals. I mean, 1 to 2.5 is not 2.5 pounds, but once you get to 2.5, then 5, then 7.5, then 10, and so on. And for a maximum upper limit for what you should be lifting safely, especially if you were having severe neck injury, I mean, I guess it differs from person to person, but if you want to be safe, you could say stop at 15 pounds for the iron neck, and stop at 20 pounds for the flexion extension, and just do increase reps and increase sets. So maybe instead of 3 sets of 20, you're doing 6 sets of 30 or something like that, because it'll be safe, because you're not, if you say you were doing like 100 pounds, if you ever hypothetically did that, that'd be more, then you're getting more dangerous, because a slight twist of your neck one way that's a lot of weight on a joint that normally only holds a 10-pound weight. So I'd probably stop at 15 for the iron neck and 20 for the flexion extension, and just do reps. I mean, even Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he would do arm curls, I don't think he did much more than 30 pounds. So he did a lot of reps, a lot of different kinds of arm curl, a lot of different sets. He, of course, obviously would lift occasionally, much heavier than 30 pounds. But I mean, a lot of people that lifted weights with him, they say that they never saw him doing more than that. So yeah, so that's how you get started. I think if you can get started, and then you have the 2 rest days, and you're back to baseline on the 3rd day, then you're okay. That means from then on, every time you're going to increase reps, and every time you're going to increase the amount of stability and tissue strength in your neck. So you're good. But you just have to find the first safe amount of exercise that you can do, and I think that'd be a good start for most people. And people say, again, they're like, oh, but I'm a real messed up, like I can barely do anything. I'm like, I was in bed pissing myself because I couldn't get out of bed to go to the bathroom. That's how bad my neck was, and I still did it. And when I did it, that happened. Like, I got some a little dizziness, a little more extra weakness. By the 3rd day, it was like I was back to baseline. So I'm like, okay, well, if I can endure that, and it wasn't that bad, it was just scary, but I endured that. And then each time I was increasing the reps, I'm like, well, you can physically only do more reps if you have more tissue and and strength. So that's the way the human body works. So if you keep increasing the numbers, your neck's getting stronger. So I knew that, and that gave me hope that, like, if I keep doing the increasing this weight and increasing this weight, and then sure enough, like, now I just got back from the YMCA swimming. I mean, I drove there. I had no problems in my neck whatsoever. No problem swimming. Nothing. Use a computer. I'm not saying my neck feels 100%. Sometimes I'm still like, neck feels a little wibbly wobbly. Um, but I mean, it's like 80% of what I was when I was like 15 years old or whatever, 18. Like, so it's like it's mostly healed. Um, and I'm gonna still keep strengthening it and you know just do the best I can do. But I mean, it's that's how you start with craniocervical instability exercise. And so, like, if you try it and you're like, I do like 1 pound, like a couple times, couple reps, and like, okay, now I'm in bed and I have severe vertigo and I can't move for the next like 3 days. Um, Maybe you have to start off with half a pound, you know. But you have to do something because you cannot just lay there. And believe me, I tried. I was in bed for a year, and you cannot just lay there and be like this, because then your bone density goes down, your soft tissue gets weaker, your muscle tissue gets weaker, and the problem every day you're not exercising, or at least having rest days between exercises, um, then like as in like if you go on like 30 days without exercising, like you're just atrophying. It's just getting worse. So you have to try to do this. And a lot of like people are afraid to, I get it, but I mean, I was in bed pissing myself. And people are like, "Well, you got stem cells." I'm like, "Yeah, but a year after stem cells, I was in bed pissing myself and I couldn't get up." So, and I know people that are like occasionally can get up and do some chores and stuff. I'm like, "Well, if you can do that, you can exercise your neck. If you can go take a shower on your own, you can exercise your neck and get stronger." So, um, I know it's scary, but you can do it. All right, see ya.